Hey everybody, it's Trixie. Welcome to the Underground. It's Wild Card Weekend, Wild Card Weekend, Wild Card Weekend. The best weekend in football. The Rams, the Panthers. Yes, good game. Rams came out ahead. Last night, I was so bored watching Chicago and Green Bay. I was like calling my mother. It's 21-3. I'm like, I can't get through this game. It's so boring. I thought it was going to be good. Fourth quarter, it got good. And the Bears came back and won it, which was unbelievable. At the end, when Ben Johnson shook Matt LaFleur's hand, I'm like, what's wrong with them? Like, Ben Johnson doesn't like him too much. He just kind of shook him and ran. And I found out he just, because he used to be with the Lions. And he's like, oh, I like beating them twice a year. And, he made some comment about, well, some people like to rest their players. We like to play football. So I think he just hates them for no reason. I don't know. But I told you about that Bears defense and Caleb Williams coming back. They always come back in the fourth quarter. So I really think it's going to come down between them and Seattle. Today we got Buffalo and the Jags. I think Buffalo's going to win that one. I don't know anything. I think Philly's going to beat San Fran, and I think the Patriots. I really do. I think the Patriots are going to win. So, all right, before I get down to the deep stuff, I went to the dentist, okay? You guys know what torture it is to go to the dentist. And I've been seeing the same hygienist since I was 4. And she's retired, but she comes out of retirement to torture me. So, I hate to say it, I don't floss that much. So she wants me back in a few months. So her and the dentist that does my teeth, she was scraping my damn teeth like crazy. And there was nowhere to spit because they had like caution tape, like someone was murdered by the sink. So I was like, will you give me something to spit the blood out? And, sorry. So the dentist comes in. I'm sorry, but I need to see his high school diploma. He looks like he's in 7th grade. The other one, his brother, so the both of them own it. Looks like he's, I don't know, on OnlyFans. He's gorgeous. He's beautiful. So they show me and they start doing, like, this is what you do. Even, so it's like these wood toothpicks, like my Uncle Lalo. I'm not sticking these in my mouth. Wood toothpicks. All right, I'll learn how to floss, okay? But it's, torture. She's scraping my teeth. I have to have my feet scraped. Remember, that seems like old times. I got to get my feet scraped. Yeah, scraping, that feeling of getting your teeth scraped by metal is just disgusting. And I got to go back in a few months. So I will learn to floss. Just everybody floss so you don't get tortured. Donna Kelce, before we get to the heavy stuff, I got to talk about things that don't make me sad. And I don't want to depress you guys. Anyway, Donna Kelce was on the Traitors. And, okay, get out of the room because I'm going to spoil everything. She already got killed. The Swifties are going to cut you. Are you kidding me or what? She said her son Jason got her involved because they're fans of the Traitors. I love the Traitors. I love the Traitors. And she said, oh, yeah, Jason got her involved, and the kids are starting their own families. Really? The kids. Okay? So that's Kelce. That's the other one. Travis. I swear, I think Taylor's pregnant. I really do. She slipped on that one. Yeah, so I think she was like a traitor, and she was the one in like the red cloak, which is kind of cool. But she's kind of nice anyway, so you kind of like, she wouldn't make probably a good traitor. She just seems like a nice person. Okay. So she said she wanted to meet Stevie Nicks, Martha Stewart, which I met her on the phone and told her she was the coolest ever, and Shaq. I mean, I'm sure Taylor can help you meet Stevie Nicks. She's kind of friends with her. Okay, let's get to this killing in Minnesota with Renee Good. That was really hard to watch. I got to be honest with you. I saw the video. I saw her last words were, dude, I'm not mad at you. Why she was there. I mean, I'm reading on page 666 that she was a part of an anti-ICE movement. Of course, they're going to paint her as some terrorist. They're already calling her a domestic terrorist. No, lesbians are not terrorists. I'm sorry to say. She was probably a little bit active politically. I don't understand. Like, her wife, Rebecca, she blames herself. And you know what? I kind of would too. When she said, go, honey, leave, get out. I probably wouldn't have because they were telling her to get out of the car at that point. And, you know, the ICE agent should have never shot her in the head. What, those 3 shots? Even if he was defending himself, which he probably wasn't, he wasn't really. Did he get run over? Because I didn't see him limping or anything. You know, she did get out of there and, you know, get out of the way. If I was like in the front of a van, you know, a crazy person in a van, I'd get out of the way. But they had like investigators from NYPD looking at it and they said, yeah, you're not supposed to stand in front of the vehicle. Yeah, that's kind of self explanatory, really. But, and then whoever, I don't know which ICE agent called her an effing bitch, which I don't know. The guy that shot her was a veteran. Was his name Ross? Anyway, but when somebody tells you to get out of the car and they have guns, I would probably get out of the car. Like I watch On Patrol Live. She might have been arrested. Then get arrested and they'll release you. So like if I was the wife and I was there, she was kind of like, they're kind of instigating a little bit. They are not responsible for the shooting at all. I'm not going to say that. But when you say, oh, go get lunch, big boy, and telling your wife to leave the scene, I wouldn't. If that was me, if that was my wife, I would. The whole thing is like, stay alive. And if someone's got guns and she was saying, oh yeah, we had whistles. And again, I'm reading that they were part of a whistling group, like an anti-ICE whistling group that they were whistling. Like really, okay, that's not really scary to me. If I was an ICE agent, I'd be scared of a lesbian with a whistle. I don't think so. But I'm sure the whistling was probably to alert community members that they were in the area and to just seek shelter. I have no idea what I'm not privy to that information because I don't join these whistling groups. But I don't think if I was there, I would have told my wife to leave. I would have probably said, listen to because you know what? Even cops are beholden to the law. If they shoot somebody, there's internal affairs, and you know they have the blessing of Don Sidious that they can use whatever force they want to use and nothing's going to happen to them. Okay? And I know this law enforcement officer, he's been a veteran and in law enforcement for over a decade, and he got dragged by a vehicle. I'm sure he's afraid of cars at this point. I'd be having some PTSD. You know, shooting her in the head, that guy's got no restraint. He shouldn't even be there. Maybe take some time off that you're doing this. He should have been relieved the first time because that would have driven me nuts if I got dragged by a vehicle. But I think that, you know, now that she's gone, can you imagine having to go to the scene and they had a dog in the back seat and you're holding your wife who's got a bloody whatever head, and I would blame myself because, you know, I would have, listen, I was in no way part of anything like this in my life because I don't protest. And they've already raised through GoFundMe $1.5 million. But I, you know, my wild days, and I think it was maybe in my like 30 years ago, maybe less, I was DJing and I was smoking a joint outside of the establishment, and a cop that I knew came up, saw me. I was with a girl that I'd been seeing, for a long time. So we'd known each other for a long time, and I was high already. And, you know, he's like, oh, you know, I know what you were doing. I'm not stupid. And, you know, I'm going to search you. If I find anything else, you're going to jail. And then the girl I was with would be like, she said something to him like, oh, are you crazy? She graduated from Smith. She was a genius. And I just turned around to her and nodded. Do not talk. Because with cops, the thing is, you just kind of shut your mouth and let it go because they have all the power right in the moment. So you deal with it later. So I just talked to him. She said nothing. And I got out of it because I always say I can talk my way. If I was in hell, I could talk my way out of hell with Satan. I'd make him let me go. So I was wrong. I was smoking and I shouldn't have been doing it. And I know I was wrong. But again, history with this cop was his wife and me didn't get along because his wife's brother and I were seeing the same woman, if that makes any sense. So, yeah. But you know what? I was wrong. And he really shouldn't have been threatening to put me in jail for a joint. But whatever. It doesn't even matter. But the thing is you de-escalate. Especially if somebody has a gun and they have authority. And these ICE agents, really, you can tell there's no I don't know. And maybe they're just on edge anyway. But I told you it would come to this, didn't I? That it would just be, not just be immigrants, it would be Americans eventually. And here we go again. I just can't imagine going through something like that. And having your wife there, and I don't think she was in the truck, but and and I heard the wife, which is, she was like the guy, like I'd be, and just confronting, why do that though? Why do you want to escalate something with people that are already on edge? Don't do it. It's not worth your life. This is getting out of control with them, and I fear that Trump. I call him Don Sidious. Don Sidious is going to cancel the elections because he's going to say it's too dangerous to walk across the street and vote. Because he knows it's happening and people are turning against him a lot. And I heard Rachel Maddow say 3.5% of the people have to protest before there's some kind of victory as far as somebody toppling a kind of like dictatorship. And I'm not really a protester. This is how I do it. I'm safe in here for now. But I'll tell you what, I think Rebecca Good is going to feel it for a long time. Because I would never tell my wife to disobey anybody. They were trying to get in her vehicle. They're telling her to get out of the car. Get out of the car. And this wouldn't have happened. I'm saying she could have been arrested, and then they would let her go. They would have let her go. What are they going to do? The pressure. They would have let her go. Instead, it was so disgusting. And having witnessed that, like to have just watching it on video, to have her crash into the cars and then you heard the car revving, it was disgusting. And then to not let them, there was a cop, not a cop, a doctor there that usually even when the cops chase you and there's a injury, they go and render aid. These guys, they were just calling her an effing bitch. Didn't care about her life. So I got a problem with that too. I've seen on Patrol Live, I've seen cops get spit at, kicked, and they don't do anything but maybe tase. This guy just shoots them in the head, and then they're defending it. So that's what we got, kids. That's what we got. That's what we got. That's our government. And Fox host Jesse Waters, who suggested euthanizing homeless people and with mental health issues, slammed her for having pronouns in her bio. Yeah, that means she deserves to get killed. Yeah. Jesse, I won't cut fresh flowers for you. Jesse, I won't keep the wine cold for you. Makes me mad. So, and I've read this in The Atlantic, the ICE recruits are failing minimum standards. They're not even in shape. They lowered their standards. More than a third failed. So to pass, you have to do 15 push-ups. I can do like 60, although I haven't done it in a while. Are you kidding me? You're a man. You can't do 15 push-ups. 32 sit-ups. That I do every day. And running 1.5 miles. That's like, in 14 minutes. I'm sorry to laugh. That's what we got. These are people that are in control. Don Sidious in the New York Times, he said he's restrained by his own morality. That's probably the scariest thing he's ever said. He's bereft of morals. Are you kidding me? I mean, they were asking him about his limits of power. He said he's restrained by his own morality. Okay. The most shameful. It was Lindsey Graham's face on that plane. Did you see him? I'm sorry, but Don Sidious was talking about taking the oil and going after oil, and Colombia and Cuba and everywhere else. I don't know what he's going to take next. Greenland. But anyway, looking at Lindsey Graham, and the longer he stays in the closet, the gayer he looks. He looks like he was in P-Town on Bear Week, like the smiling, and it looks like Trump looks like he wants to laugh, because what is wrong with, he's turning pink. I mean, he's turning pink in front of our eyes. So in the New York Times, Trump was pissed by Nicolas Maduro's dance moves. That's why he moved in, because the guy can move. Yes, the guy was a bad guy, but like, why is he going after people like this? He leaves Putin in power, Kim Jong-un. Those are the more dangerous people. And yes, the guy was oppressive. I get it. But remember when we went to Iraq? It didn't work. We had all kinds of problems. And Melania said she hates Trump's dance moves. So somebody should teach him how to dance. He can't move his lower self. Like, and then she said it was unpresidential. And she said, can you imagine FDR dancing? No, we can't, because he was in a wheelchair. Are you serious or what? What is wrong with? Oh, okay, okay. So January 7th is when Renee Good got killed. January 6th, they were all up there with their pardons. There was one woman, though, who was like 70 years old who said, I'm not accepting it and I had no right being there. And okay, one person out of all like 1,000 that had a change of heart. Unbelievable. She apologized to the Capitol Police. And yeah, one person's good. Okay. Trump said in front of the Republicans, quote, how we have to even run against these people. So this is the starting of, we're going to cancel the midterms. I won't say cancel the elections, but he kind of is. They should cancel the elections. Okay. But he won't say it, but he said it. Because the fake news would say, quote, he wants the elections canceled. He's a dictator. They always call me a dictator. I wonder why. Because you're not following laws? I don't know why we call you a dictator. I guess so. Maybe you should dance. Maybe it'll make you a happier person. Okay. Taylor's The Fate of Ophelia. And guess what, guys? I'm having a Taylor Swift party in a few weeks. I invited one of my best friends from like when I was 5. She doesn't like Taylor Swift, but I invited her. She accepted. I'm like, really? You're going to sit there 3 hours watching a Taylor Swift concert? Another friend I have, half of the warring lesbians, she's coming. She doesn't like her either. I'm all alone. I ordered a bunch of bracelets. They're coming today. I'm going to snag the Reputation one so they don't get it. That's not really very Swift-like. You're supposed to be generous and give your own bracelets. But I like Reputation. She set a new record, breaking her old one, with Billboard's Top 100, 9 weeks at number 1, beating Antihero. And I've got the Antihero bracelet right here. I would give that one up, but I want Reputation. Okay, what else? What else? Oh, a fire in Queens. Okay, listen to this one. Firefighters fighting a fire in Queens, New York. And the building's on fire. And guess what? One of the firefighters gets hit in the head with an air conditioner. So you're in there with burning buildings and an air conditioner does you in? No, the guy's alive, but I think he's like in bad condition. I wouldn't want to get hit in the head by my air conditioner. Okay, ready before we go. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It was good. It's been good. Returned from hiatus. Sutton curbed her drinking. Jennifer Tilly wakes up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Sutton goes on and on about herself while Tilly just goes, like Oprah. She called her a Catherine wheel. What's a Catherine wheel? A Catherine wheel is a torture device, that could be her, named after St. Catherine of Alexandria. And also, it's a type of firework that sparks. And so she's saying you're going to get hit by the sparks. Kathy Hilton used to be a waitress at the Waldorf in New York. And her husband, Rick, the Hiltons, was a bartender. I didn't even know that. Tilly remembers the bartenders who wait on her names. Thank you, Marcus, which I think is very nice. I like her because she's not pretentious, more down to earth. Kathy had gluten-free caviar served at her party. Amanda, the new housewife, the rich as F-U-C-K, manifester, talks about everything she has. She brags on. And Kathy Hilton's just like, okay, nobody likes her. You can tell. She tunes her out. And she just goes, oh yeah, that's good. That's great. And Kyle's like, whenever my sister said that's great, that means she's not listening. Sutton says she always has to one-up you. Kathy gave the women a goodie bag with Save the Bees hats on it. Erica has a new boyfriend. He looks bulky. I don't know. But, she seems happy, so that's nice. Next week, they showed Jennifer Tilly climbing. It looks like a mountain or something, and she's like this. It's hysterical. Attorney Alan Jackson, who saved Karen Reed, just withdrew from Nick Reiner's case. So he's done. He's got a public defender. According to ABC News, a former Republican lawmaker in Arizona, Austin Smith, pled guilty. He was sentenced for using nominating signatures that were forged. Trump's always Don Sidious, always talking about fraud and everything. Well, this guy's a Republican. He's doing it. They questioned the election in Arizona, and he used to work for, he was a leader for Turning Point Action, which is an arm of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. So there you go. He only got probation and a $5,000 fine. Teachers in a public school in California, this is according to the LA Times, have the right to tell parents their kids are gay. Okay, that's not nice. And you know what though? You should know if your kid's gay if you're a mother. That's what I'm thinking. I, I didn't tell my mother till like after my dad died. Are you kidding me? But yeah, I actually came out to gay people when I first did that. It was pretty tough to even say it to myself. And I'm pretty open minded. Okay, guys, it's time. It's time for football. Hope you enjoyed your week and stay away from crazy things, especially the lesbians. Don't do anything. Listen, my wife, you're going to have to listen to me sometimes because I can get out of things. I use my voice and my thinking, even when I'm stoned. Not anymore. No more pot. But thanks for listening and keep subscribing. It's free. Love you guys. See you next week.